Welcome to the Supreme Court Podcast. All opinions expressed in this podcast do not reflect the views of the Supreme Court. For clarity, the text of the decision prevails.
For Filipinos belonging to either Generation Z or Generation Alpha, the names Flor Contemplacion and Sara Balabagan would probably not ring a bell. But those belonging to older generations would likely have at least heard of these two Filipino migrant workers who were incarcerated abroad in the 1990s. Their respective high-profile cases drew global attention as the Philippine government, mainly through the Office of the Solicitor General, made concerted efforts to appeal their cases. Among the lawyers from the Office of the Solicitor General who handled these cases was a young attorney, Carl B. Miranda. Fast forward to 2025, and that young lawyer now serves as an Associate Justice of the Sandigan Bayan. Appointed as the 62nd Associate Justice of the country's Anti-Graft Court in 2016, Justice Miranda is the chairperson of its 3rd Division. From his early years in government service up to the present, Justice Miranda has continuously advocated for programs that will rehabilitate and reform prisoners and detainees. He has also been actively supporting institutional reforms aimed at persuading competent legal professionals to work for the government and serve the people. How can a person deprived of liberty find redemption? How can our justice system balance accountability with compassion, ensuring that PDLs are not only punished but also given real opportunities for reform and reintegration? These and more are the questions that we hope to answer in today's podcast. Hi, I'm Attorney Mike Navalio, Supreme Court Chief Communications Officer. It's the 24th of October 2025, and today we are joined by Sandigan Bayan Associate Justice Carl B. Miranda, a staunch advocate of prison reform, rehabilitation, and reintegration. Hi, Justice Carl. Welcome to the Supreme Court Podcast, and thank you for welcoming us to the Sandigan Bayan.
Good day, Attorney Mike. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, Justice, and we're really curious about your advocacies, especially because we're celebrating or we're commemorating the National Correctional Consciousness Week on the last week of October and Prison Awareness Week every last Sunday of October each year. So this is a very timely topic. But before we go to your prison advocacies, Justice, we're very curious. You have had a remarkable career in government service, particularly in the judiciary. What inspired you to choose this path, public law justice work?
You know, Attorney Mike, I never thought of entering government. I never envisioned that I would become a solicitor, an assistant solicitor general, or now even an associate justice of the Sandigan Bayan, because my undergrad course was business management.
Oh, wow.
So, and I come from a family of businessmen. So, my plan was to go into private commercial practice.
Right.
Kaya lang, on the last day of the bar examination, kakatapos lang ng bar, my eldest brother, yung nauna sa akin, was killed in a road rage incident by a high-ranking government official. And during the months that followed, our family felt that we were not getting the support that we, as kami nga yung aggrieved family, my brother left a young wife doctor and a 3-month-old baby. And we felt that as the aggrieved family, we did not get the proper support from the Department of Justice. It was good at the end, the Supreme Court convicted the accused and sent him to prison. Pero upon reflection, sabi ko, this is a challenge to me. And I was thinking there would be siguro many other people with the same experience as we had as a family, di ba? So I said, hindi. Papasok din siguro ako dapat sa gobyerno, sa Department of Justice din. In the hope na when something like this comes, what happened to us will not happen to families na aggrieved din by crime. And so I entered the Department of Justice, but in the office of the Solicitor General, which is an attached agency.
Right. So that's how you got to
That's
the OSG.
how I entered the OSG.
And when you got to OSG, you were able to handle some of the high-profile cases. Sara Balabagan, Flor Contemplacion, both were migrant domestic workers. Those respective cases highlighted the plight of overseas workers. Flor Contemplacion was executed in Singapore in 1995 for allegedly murdering a fellow Filipino migrant worker and a child, while Sara Balabagan was sentenced to death in the United Arab Emirates in 1995 for the murder of the employer. But her sentence was later reduced to a prison term and caning after public outcry and diplomatic efforts. How did those experiences actually affect your mindset towards prison reform? Because as you mentioned, you started out as someone seeking justice.
Yes.
So in short, you wanted to jail. Gusto mo ipakulong those who were responsible for the death of your brother. But eventually, you went into prison reform and rehabilitation. So how did those experiences help shape your mindset?
Oo. When I was assigned to assist in the case of Flor Contemplacion and then a few months later in Sara Balabagan, what struck me was that our overseas Filipino workers then lacked proper protection and assistance from government. So, for example, yung time ni Flor Contemplacion, kailangan ng legal aid, di ba? Pero kulang yung pera ng Department of Foreign Affairs for that purpose. Kailangan tatawag pa sila sa Manila. Kailangan sasabihin pa sa Secretary of Foreign Affairs. Eh, nandyan na yung kaso, maghahanap sila ng pondo. Ang hirap. That's one thing that I noticed. Although in the case of Contemplacion, I'd like to make clear, legal aid was properly provided to her, nevertheless, by the Department of Foreign Affairs.
But those experiences, Justice, I was wondering, at which point did you decide that there's something about incarceration that also needs to be looked into, right? Because, yes, as we mentioned, you started as wanting to go after those who were responsible for your brother's death. And then eventually, you went into prison reform and rehabilitation.
Yes.
So was there a particular, perhaps, reckoning point for that, Justice, for you? Or did it just happen gradually that you just found yourself, we needed prison reform. We also need to look after those who are in jail. I was just wondering if you have a specific moment, Justice.
Well, again, in the case of Flor Contemplacion and Sara Balabagan, as I said, I found out that they lacked adequate protection and assistance because kulang yung budget. And then there was a need for protection of OFW rights. So when we came back and then there was an investigation by Congress into both instances, Congress came up with the Migrant Workers Act that put together a package for the protection of OFW rights. So in particular, sabi, there must be a regulation of recruitment. Number two, that there must be legal safeguards and then standard contracts for our OFWs. And then, ito na yon, legal and consular assistance. So yung funding for the hiring of foreign lawyers to immediately represent our OFWs in distress, and pagkailangan repatriation to the Philippines. And then the third one, benefit of the Migrant Workers Act, was the provision of economic benefits. So, okay, ngayon may SSS coverage na sila. May reintegration program in case na kailangan pabalikin sila dito. And remittance facilitation for their families here. Now, one thing that we noticed there was that at that time, Sara Balabagan wanted to serve her sentence in the Philippines. Gusto niya sabi niya So, one of our proposals then was for us, for the Republic, to enter into prisoner transfer treaties. And that's why now we have existing prisoner transfer treaties with Spain, Hong Kong, and Thailand. This is in force. Now, we have 3 other countries where we have signed prisoner transfer treaties, pero hindi ko alam kung fully implemented na to.
Right.
This would be with Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United Arab Emirates. So meron, pwede silang lumipat dito. Kaya lang, Attorney Mike, up to now, wala pa akong alam except for Mary Jane Veloso na who was transferred here, no?
Yes.
But not through prisoner transfer treaty. Kasi wala tayong prisoner transfer treaty with Indonesia.
Yes.
Wala pa akong alam na Pilipino na incarcerated abroad na who would want to be repatriated here.
On the contrary, we have a Spanish national
Yes.
benefiting from that.
Yes.
Paco Larrañaga, who is in Spain.
Larrañaga, who went to Spain
Yes.
because of this. So, inisip ko, bakit?
Yes.
Because siguro, alam nila na mas maganda yung prison
Prison
conditions doon kesa dito.
Yes, yes.
So, while we have this, parang wala pang gustong pumasok, bumalik sa ating bayan. Oo. Siguro until we really improve the prison facilities, until we make sure that there is proper rehabilitation of prisoners and their eventual reintegration to society.
Yeah, and to be fair, Justice, there have been improvements in terms of jail decongestion, right?
Oh, greatly.
There are
This
some-
past 2 years, there has been a great reduction in the congestion of our jails and prisons. Because, for one, the Supreme Court allowed plea bargaining now.
Yes.
Di ba? So, ang daming
For drug
na-release-
cases.
For
Plea
drug
bargaining.
cases. Kasi dati, hindi pwede.
Hindi pwede.
Ngayon, pwede na. The Supreme Court made that clear. So, ang daming na-release. And then, the Bureau of Corrections really is taking serious efforts to see to it na yung dapat i-release, ma-release agad. Titignan yung records, so hindi tatagal. Unlike dati kasi hindi pa digitized yun eh. But
Right.
now, digitized na. So, it's easy to find out sino ba dapat yung deserving of release.
Right. And you would know this because you have been very hands-on in visiting jails and prisons across the country, Justice. What insights have you gained from these visits, and how have they shaped your approach to imprisonment and reform?
Okay. The first thing that I realized when I went to see our prisons is the lack of a budget. Kulang na kulang talaga ang pera para sa mga jails and prisons natin. And when I say kulang para sa pagkain. Dati, 50 pesos for 3 meals a day.
Wow.
Sabi nila. Although, tinaas na yan ng Kongreso, signed by the President, of course, to 70 pesos a day.
A day? But that's 3 meals.
So, that's 3 meals. Yes, pagkakasyahin, di ba? And then, clothing.
No.
Kulang na kulang din yun. And other basics, toiletries like sabon, hindi naman lahat nabibigyan ng
Right.
ganyan. Oo. So, and then, I'm talking of yung insufficient budget yan for food, clothing, and sabihin natin basics like soap. But there was a time that there was no budget for burial assistance.
So what happens if someone dies?
Oh, Mike, if you came with me to go and visit the Bureau of Corrections then, doon sa likod ng ospital, merong isang maliit na bodega na corrugated yero. Maybe this size natin, no? I'd say mga 20 square meters or less, or less pa. And there you would see corpses
Right.
of dead PDLs, naked, stacked upon each other. Sometimes aabot 6 corpses. Oo.
Wow.
And they're brown na, parang ganito.
Because they've decomposed.
No, they have not decomposed, but I don't know why their color has turned really brown. And then you will see, pasensya po dun sa mga kumakain. I'm sorry. Yellow streaks. I don't know if streaks of parang liquid, dried liquid from their nose, from their mouths, from their eyes, parang ganyan. I don't know kung formalin yun or what. And then, I'd ask them, bakit nandyan ang daming tao? Sabi, and then the authorities would tell us, because we wanted to bury them already, but the families were saying, no, don't bury them yet because we want to claim them. But then there was no funding for that. And so we brought the matter to Congress, and happily, the Senate, through Senator Aquilino Pimentel Sr., put some budget for the burial assistance so that the dead PDLs, their bodies could be shipped to their families.
For burial.
For burial.
That's really harrowing, Justice Card.
So, Mike, ang kailangan talaga for both BJMP, the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, and the Bureau of Corrections, there is a need to modernize their facilities. There's a need to professionalize their workforce. And there is a need to provide efficient correctional services. But all of this will require principally a good budget. Everything, as I would always say, starts with a budget, lalo na in government. Kung walang budget, walang gagalaw dyan.
How much do you think that will cost us, Justice Carl? Many estimates?
The cost versus the benefits,
yes.
Cost-benefit analysis. The cost will be nothing compared to the benefits. Kasi how many PDLs do we have right now? We have almost 200,000 PDLs. If you don't properly modernize facilities, provide the required workforce, and provide efficient correctional services, you will be releasing yung 200 na yan to the, eventually, to society. And you will, and unreformed, you will be releasing 200,000 problems.
Right.
Diba? So, yung cost is outweighed by the benefits. And the reason why there is always a problem, nag-uumpisa yan kasi kulang nga yung budget. So sa jails, nagsisiksikan, sabihin natin, in a 20 square meter cell, 80 to 100 people. Siyempre magkakainitan yan, mag-aaway, magkakasakit. Di ba? Sinong gagamot din nun? Sinong mag-aayos nun? Gobyerno pa rin.
At magkakahawaan kapag hindi gumaling.
Yes. Prevalent in our jails and prisons would be yung what do you call this? Skin diseases. And yung tuberculosis. Yes.
That's really unfortunate, Justice. And you mentioned earlier, the families of these PDLs don't really have the means to bury them. Some of them don't even have the means to visit them.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So you have this idalaw system, which I understand in 2011, you and lawyers from the Office of the Solicitor General helped establish. Can you tell us more about this? How did this come about?
Okay. Kasi when we would go there to teach with our lawyers and our legal interns to help provide legal assistance to the inmates, we would notice na ang linya sa labas masyadong mahaba. Kasi kailangan i-check lahat yun kung sino yung papasok. Dahil the reality is, there is always a percentage of visitors bringing in contraband na dapat talagang bantayan, di ba? Pero kakapkapan, i-check lahat yun, di ba? That's one. Number two, there is a greater number of family members of the PDLs who would want to come and visit, but because they are in far away Manila, and they live in up north or in the middle, sa Visayas or in Mindanao, they cannot afford to come over to Manila. And when they come over to Manila, Attorney Mike, hindi lang isang araw yan, siyempre. They will stay for 3-4 days. Mamamasahe pa sila sa bus or sa barko. Kulang na kulang yung pera. So, I said, teka muna, I spoke to actually 4 directors and proposed to them. I told the first director, sir, would the BuCor not want to consider using technology and let's provide, Skype lang muna parang through idalaw. And then that first director said, yes, that's a good idea, let's do it. Sabi niya. So when he called his technical people, ang unang sabi nila, ay sir, hindi pwede. Dangerous yan.
Why?
Security concern. Sabi, so, struck down yung idea. And then, after a few years, there was another director. I proposed the same thing. And then the director liked the idea. Called the same technical group. Same answer. Oh, dangerous yan. Oh. And then a third one, same answer. The director was receptive, but the technical people were not. Until someone with a background in security intelligence from the army, Director Pangilinan, came in. And when we proposed that to him again, he said, okay, let's do it. And when he called his technical people, as expected, they were going to say, General, mahirap yan kasi may security problem dyan. And then Director Pangilinan told them, hindi ba security kayo? Di ba yan ang trabaho nyo? Ayusin nyo yan.
Right.
At inayos nila.
Yun naman pala eh.
Yun na nga. So, what we did was we tried to look for the most basic of computers na pwedeng mag-Skype lang. And then, together with lawyers from the Office of the Solicitor General, we piloted this with the approval of both the BJMP and the BuCor in various jails and prisons. So women's in women's correctional, in the city jails in Manila and in Quezon City, and nakita nila that using e-dalaw would be a good administrative tool. Why? Because you don't have to assign so many people there na magkakap-kap, mag-check, because mababawasan yung bibisita, di ba? During yung e-dalaw, meron naman din magmo-monitor dyan, baka mamaya nagda-drug dealing na or what. So wala yun, bawal yun, yung mga ano. So when they saw that it was good, it was successful, the Bureau of Corrections pa expanded it from e-dalaw naging e-burol. So up to now, yung reports ng Bureau of Corrections, so many benefit from e-burol. Kasi every so often before at the Office of Solicitor General, we are asked to comment, there is a request for this prisoner to go out and visit. Siyempre, madi-deny yun. Madi-deny. But now with e-dalaw, even families from abroad can visit. Di ba? And even if yun namatay abroad, our PDLs can be a quote-unquote a part of it. And then, Attorney Mike, yung pinakamaganda talaga nangyari dyan is okay pala yung e-dalaw, safe naman. And then, e-burol. But what really changed the landscape was when the Supreme Court said, okay, payagan ang video conference hearings. And that made it so much easier to speed up the administration of justice. Dahil again, from the savings of government in transporting the accused to and from the jail.
Security risk.
Going to the courtrooms. Ang laking savings doon. Not only in personnel, because if you bring a prisoner to the hearing, ang rule dyan, hindi pwedeng iisa lang. Dapat may kasamang, may rule dyan kung ilan ang pwede. So, that thing does away with the need for the required number of escorts and yung sasakyan.
And presumably faster because they can just log in online and you can proceed with the proceedings. It's not an issue transporting them to the court.
Yung e-hearings ngayon, hundreds of thousands ang nagbe-benefit sa e-hearings, from bail to hearing proper to
and even promulgation can be done online.
Wow,
very interesting. And one thing you mentioned earlier, Justice, is that when you were with the OSG, you were already teaching. You would go to some prisons and then you teach. And right now, you're teaching at the college inside the New Bilibid prison in Muntinlupa City?
Well, I used to teach. But I stopped because sabi ko, teka muna, if I teach about 80 to 60 PDLs. So, ilan yung magbe-benefit do sa pagpunta ko doon. So, what we do now and what we have been doing for the past so many years was to look for champions who would want to help PDLs. So whether they are in government or in the private sector, in the government, we've had cabinet secretaries, several chief justices, and other government officials, congressmen and senators come there to see ano ba talaga yung kailangan ng mga dito sa preso para talagang ma-reform ito. Oh. So yun, that's what we do now. And then from the private sector, champions who would really want to help. The last one being Mr. Ramon Ang of San Miguel Corporation.
Justice, what motivated you to teach the PDLs, at least during the time when you were still teaching them? What is it in education that you think is important, even for those behind bars?
As I told you earlier, Mike, I never really wanted to do anything with PDLs because my brother was killed by someone the Supreme Court sent to prison. But, you know, during prayer in church or personally, I felt unworthy of asking for God's forgiveness. When I say the Our Father, I say, forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sinned against us. Parang hingi ka ng hingi ng forgiveness sa Diyos, hindi mo ma-forgive yung pumatay sa kapatid mo. No? So I learned that like the biblical Jonah, the Lord will call and send us to do His bidding to places na we don't want to go to. And I'm saying this to you and to our listeners, kasi sometime in your lives, the Lord will throw you to a place na ayaw mo. Kasi may gusto siyang pagawa sa'yo doon. And it can happen several times. I never thought na I'd be working for the OSG, coming here sa Sandigan Bayan. But sabi ko nga, like Jonah, pagtatakas tayo, mahuhuli tayo, kakainin tayong balyena, iluluwa tayo dun sa shores of Nineveh to do God's bidding. So, when I was in the OSG, part of my work, I was detailed for some time in the Senate. And then part of the work given to me was to review the budget of the Department of Justice. Ano ba daw dapat ang dagdagan ng budget sa Department of Justice? Ano yung dapat tanggalin? So, in the Senate, I learned the budget process. And there, I saw an item in the DOJ under the budget of the BuCor in particular, funding for a school in prison. So, that piqued my interest. Sabi ko, ano yun? Preso? Nag-aaral? Parang ganyan. So, I went there myself to see, ano ba to? Is this a joke? Totoo bang kailangan to? And what? And what I saw was parang an epiphany for me. Na pwede pala talagang magbago kahit yung iniisip natin na pinakamasamang tao na sa mundo. Pwede pala through education.
And Justice, how would educational programs inside prisons impact the chances of PDLs in successfully being reintegrated after their release? What's the importance of having good education or continuously learning even while you're incarcerated?
Attorney Mike, you know, when I went to prison, I learned that our real problem or enemy is not the criminal. Rather, it is the economic deprivation and inequality in society. Poverty and unemployment, lack of opportunity for education or decent work. That's number one. Number two, our problem, our enemy would be the family breakdown and dysfunction. And this is because of, when I look at it, saan ba galing to? Because of absentee parents na walang magsusupervise dun sa mga bata. And what is the cause of parental absenteeism? A big cause would be migration. We have over 2 million overseas Filipino workers who break their backs to send money back to family and country. But ang kapalit nun, sometimes hindi na nasusupervise yung mga bata. Yeah. We have, and I say again, another cause, no, of yung problema natin would be incarceration. Why? Because right now, sabi na nga natin, we have 180 or 200,000 PDLs in jails or in prison. There are instances where both parents are inside prison or in jail. Walang nagbabantay sa mga bata na yun. Yan, sa 200,000. Oo.
Buti kung isang anak lang.
Buti kung isang anak lang. Kaya bang alagaan ng lola, ng tiyahin, ng uncle, ng kuya? Ang hirap. Ang hirap talaga. So, kailangan talaga yung education. No? I saw to it. No? I saw it. Education leads to reformation, and which provides motivation for the prisoner to become useful and responsible citizens. The training provided inside prison, with the help of TESDA sometimes, provides the skill. But the problem then again is no employer wants to take a risk. Dahil sa kukunin mo yan, may criminal background. Paano na yun, di ba?
And interestingly, Justice, you also learned that you and your son founded the Bilibid Pusakal soccer team. So, what led you to this initiative? Why sports?
You know what, Mike? My son was a soccer kid. So, in grade school pa lang, hanggang high school, hanggang college, talagang soccer ang love niyan. And because of that, I was known to be a soccer dad kasi ako yung tagahatid early in the morning during weekends. So I saw how it changed the kids, di ba? How it made them real sportsmen because they learned the rules of the game and learned how to play together without, pag-aaway-away. So nakita ko that sports really would be beneficial because it will help in the physical health and well-being of the inmates, their mental and emotional stability, their discipline and self-control, and sports provide social integration skills for our inmates. Sana lang merong enough facilities because ang problema when it comes to jails, masyadong restricted yung
space.
And if
you're talking about football, you need quite a bigger space for football.
Yes. And yung mga PDLs natin, when lalo na when the Bilibid Pusakals was formed, bakit Pusakals ang pangalan?
Bakit?
Kasi syempre may ASCALs tayo. And so when the players were asked, sige, anong gusto niyong pangalan yung team? Sabi niya, ang gusto po namin yung kami lang talaga ang may karapatang gumamit sa pangalan na yan. Ano yun? Pusakal. Sabi na. So, Pusakal daw. And, that team has played with the German expatriates, with the British expatriates, with the French expatriates, and several ambassadors na have gone there to watch their games. Out of the 3 games, isang beses lang tayo nanalo. Pero, di ba?
But at least the effort is there.
Yes. And then, I was thinking, maybe it's a suntok sa buwan. What's the best proof of rehabilitation? Sana, our PDLs can try out to join the Olympics and represent our country so long as our national laws and itong International Olympic Committee rules allow them. Because right now, I was looking, wala akong nakitang absolute prohibition at this time for them to join. And as I was saying, what's the best proof that you are being rehabilitated than showing to the people, I am fighting in this, joining in this sports competition to represent my country. So, the San Miguel team, that different teams of under Ramon Ang, he brought them there to play with the prisoners. Mixed team. Talagang that was something that the boys will never forget.
And Justice Carl, we may have to cut off our discussion for now, but we will be back next week to discuss more about your advocacies and some initiatives in prison reform. So thank you for now,
Of
Justice
course,
Carl.
Attorney Mike. I will be waiting.
Thank you, Justice Carl.
Thank you.
And here's Tiff Atendido Beltran, Supreme Court Information Officer, for this week's updates.
From the Supreme Court of the Philippines, here's the latest. The Supreme Court on Wednesday, October 22, 2025, celebrated the third anniversary of its Blueprint of Action for Judicial Reforms, the Strategic Plan for Judicial Innovations 2022 to 2027, or the SPJI. In his keynote address, Chief Justice Alexander Hismundo highlighted the great strides the court has made to deliver real-time responsive justice in this digital age. He cited ongoing digitalization of court processes through eCourt PH and upcoming initiatives, including the development of a case records management system. He expressed gratitude to the members of the court, the SC's development partners, and court employees for their contributions and support for the SPJI. For his part, Senior Associate Justice Marvic Leonin announced that by October 30, only online filing will be accepted at the Supreme Court, while the Sandigan Bayan and Court of Appeals will soon adopt eCourt PH. The third anniversary showcased 14 key initiatives under the SPJI through a series of videos, followed by a panel discussion with Chief Justice Hismundo, Saj Leonin, and Associate Justices Ramon Paul Hernando, Rodil Zalameda, Ricardo Rosario, Josep Lopez, Jose Midas Marquez, Antonio Co Jr., and Raul Villanueva, answering questions from stakeholders and members of the media. Various committees and offices also set up booths on the 14 initiatives, with QR codes that lead to a microsite detailing the progress of each project. Meanwhile, on October 22 to 25, the SC Subcommittee to develop a judicial curriculum for land registration held the pilot launch of the Land Registration Capacity Enhancement Training at the Judicial Academy Philippines, Tagaytay City, led by Associate Justice Alfreda Benjamin Kagiwa. 32 judges from Region 4A participated in the training designed to enhance their grasp of land registration and help them adjudicate land registration cases more effectively. The sessions covered the history and principles of the Torrens system, the land registration process, and included an on-site learning visit at the Register of Deeds of Tagaytay City. On Thursday, Chief Justice Hismundo and Senior Associate Justice Leonin graced the 32nd National Convention and biennial elections of the Philippine Trial Judges League Inc., held in San Fernando City, La Union. Addressing the judges, Chief Justice Hismundo stressed that the process of modernizing the judiciary must truly serve the values and principles judges have sworn to uphold. He added, "A judiciary that harnesses technology wisely is one that listens, adapts, and remains sensitive to the evolving needs of the people it serves." He also administered the oath of office to the newly elected PTJLI officers. Meanwhile, Saj Leonin spoke on the SC's governance policy or framework for the use of artificial intelligence, or AI. On Wednesday, Chief Justice Hismundo honored the 15 awardees of the Outstanding Women in the Nation's Service for 2025 at the awarding ceremony held in Pasay City. The Chief Magistrate thanked and praised the awardees, who are exceptional women from various fields and professions. He expressed hope that they will continue to inspire young women to constantly aim for excellence and break gender barriers. Towns is a triennial search for Filipinas, who, in their various capacities, serve as good role models and contribute significantly to the improvement of society. On October 15 to 17, Senior Associate Justice Leonin led the SC delegation to the convention for the creation of a digital legal framework for the social progress of the Philippines in Granada, Spain. As chair of the SC Committee on Computerization and Library, Saj Leonin spoke about the digital transformation of the Philippine judicial system on the first day of the convention. Joining him were Associate Justice Ami Lazaro Javier, Philippine Judicial Academy or PhilJA Vice Chancellor Edgardo Lau de los Santos, and other PhilJA and SC officials. Subjects tackled during the convention included the application of AI in the administration of justice and sustainable data economy. The Unified Legal Aid Service, or ULAS, Interim Board has issued ULAS Board Resolution Number 1, which amends certain sections of Rule 19 of the ULAS Rules Manual. The resolution clarifies that lawyers issued certificates of exclusion pursuant to the ULAS Rules and Manual are not entitled to 15 units under the Mandatory Continuing Legal Education or MCLE. The Supreme Court mourns the passing of Cebu-based Judge Carmela Rosario Pasquin of the Municipal Circuit Trial Court of Aloginsan, Pinamungahan in Cebu. Judge Pasquin was on the way to court on Wednesday morning on board a motorcycle driven by process server Eric Lanzarate when they figured in a collision with another motorcycle. She is survived by her husband and a daughter. She was 41. Judge Pasquin started her career as a solo practitioner in 2010 before joining the judiciary as a clerk of court in Iloilo in 2019. She was appointed MCTC judge in 2024. The Supreme Court condoles with the family and loved ones of Judge Pasquin, a respected member of the judiciary and the legal community. You are now up to date with the Philippine Supreme Court. I am Tiffany Dobotran, Supreme Court Information Officer.
And that's our podcast this week. Join us again next time for a detailed discussion of select cases decided by the Supreme Court. I'm Attorney Mike Navalio, your Supreme Court Chief Communications Officer. You can catch this podcast on the Supreme Court Public Information Office's accounts on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. You can also catch previous editions on our website and on Spotify. This podcast episode was produced by the Supreme Court Public Information Office with Attorney Karen Martinez, Jay Rimpilio, May Sibal, and Ramir Christopher Simbahon as researchers, Brian Austria, Don Ryan Balza, Lawrence Olanio, Austin Aliscad, and Bea Batong as audio and video editors, and Tyke Flores and Jerome Batumalaki as web editors.